Hello everyone, it's Matt here from Scoop in Response, and today we're going to be checking out Tovolar. Today we're going to be checking out Tovolar. Today we're going to be checking out I can say Asmarana Kadistina Kultakai every fucking time, but I can't get this one right. Today we're going to be looking at Tovolar, Dire Overlord, which is a new Gruul Stompy commander that's come out with Innistrad. I think that there's an amazing deck already out with Tolarian Community College if you're looking to build a Stompy Werewolf tribal deck. This is not going to be one of those types of decks. I've built a lot of Gruul Stompy in the past, and I figured it had just become another one of those in my list, so I'd much rather do something a little bit wild and different with this list. So we're going to be making a whole bunch of weird stuff happen through some very fringe interactions, but first let's check out the commander. Tovolar Dire Overlord is a 1 red-green legendary creature human werewolf, which is a 3/3, and it has the text, whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more wolves and werewolves, it becomes night. Then transform any number of human werewolves you control. Tovolar transforms into the Midnight Scourge and has the same text for drawing cards, as well as an activated ability which is X red-green. Target wolf or werewolf you control gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Nightbound. Daybound and Nightbound is a new mechanic coming out with Innistrad, and the way that it works is each game of Magic will now start as neither day nor night, and if a Daybound creature enters the battlefield, it becomes day. When it becomes day, all Nightbound creatures transform. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night the next turn. When it becomes night, the exact same thing happens, except all Daybound creatures transform into their Nightbound versions. Permanents will enter the battlefield Nightbound, and if a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it will become day again. So as I said, I didn't want to go down the Werewolf Tribal and Gruul Stompy route. I wanted to try something a bit different. So the themes that we're going to be looking at today are really around transforming things that aren't werewolves. We're going to be cheating that kind of interaction into play. And we're also going to be doing things with Planeswalkers and with tokens, because that seemed to all fit thematically with what the wolves are trying to do with creating additional tokens and the wolf pack kind of idea. So while it's not completely devoid of werewolves, we've been very, very careful about the ones that we want to pick. Let's jump in and have a look at exactly what I'm talking about when we're looking at things that we shouldn't be able to transform. In our deck, we have 17 permanents that have transform abilities. Some of these are creatures, and some of them aren't. We've got a few artifacts, we've got some planeswalkers, but we are going to be able to cheat them all in using our commander's ability no matter what. The way that we're going to be able to do this is by using 2 specific cards. The first one being Maskwood Nexus, which reads as follows. Creature you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. What's really cool about this artifact is that Tovolar Dire Overlord only cares about human werewolves and their ability to transform. So as long as a creature is a human werewolf, at the time at which the trigger goes onto the stack, it will transform. Maskwood Nexus means that every creature in our deck fulfills that requirement, so any creature with a transform ability will resolve as the trigger does. For all of the artifacts in our deck, we're going to be using a different card, which is Karn Silver Golem, to further cheat this ability in. Once we have Maskwood Nexus and Karn Silver Golem onto the battlefield, Tovolar's trigger will go onto the stack, and in response to the trigger, we will actually activate Karn Silver Golem in order to turn our artifacts into creatures. Those creatures will then become human werewolves, and they will transform with all other permanents at the same time. Probably the coolest of all of the transform abilities that we are going to be cheating out is Sanctum of the Sun and Goldforge Garrison, both of which are extremely difficult to get onto the battlefield without some way of cheating the transform. We've also just got a bunch of powerhouse cards once they flip. Cards like Chalice of Life transforming into Chalice of Death, Cryptolith Fragment transforming into Aurora of Emrakul, both the Nissa and Chandra creatures, and of course our friend Huntmaster of the Fells. So I don't think there's really anything cooler than getting a land out into play that taps for 40 mana, which is what the Sanctum of the Sun is all about. So that was kind of where I started with for this particular build. I just love that card. I love the idea of flipping that. Obviously, we've got a whole bunch of hoops to jump through to make that happen. You need both of those pieces out, being the Karn and the Maskwood Nexus, for it to really happen. But I think it's super cool and definitely worth jumping through those hoops to get out. The other parts of the deck, as I mentioned, are really around the Planeswalker Superfriends archetype, and also we're going to be generating and doubling up a whole bunch of tokens. Doubling Season's particularly good because it really helps with both of those game plans, but let's just have a look at our package of Planeswalkers first. So we've got a total of 10 Planeswalkers in the deck, and then that comes up to 12 if you count the 2 creature Planeswalkers of Nissa and Chandra. All of these Planeswalkers are going to be doing a couple of things. They're either going to be generating tokens or helping us ramp, or providing additional sort of board presence and utility with that. All of the Vivians, the Nissas, the Garuks, they're all just, really good as far as having Planeswalkers that are going to help us progress a board state without having to rely on creatures directly. And the ability to double up their starting loyalty with Doubling Season means that we can be ulting some of them as soon as they're deployed on the board. So the Planeswalkers really fit into the theme nicely with our token strategy. We've got Doubling Season, as we've mentioned, but we've also got Parallel Lives. So that's really going to be everything that we need to start pushing out those tokens once we have some Planeswalkers that are going to be generating them for us. With that in mind, we need to check out our creature base. We are using a bit of a sub-theme of and a benefit of the Maskwood Nexus with a Goblin package that allows us to tutor for other things. Let's jump into the list. With 29 creatures in the list, we've got a typical package of elves and dorks that are going to give us a bit of extra ramp. We've also got a goblin package with Goblin Welder, Skirk Prospector, Dockside, Goblin Engineer, and then we've got Matron and Recruiter to allow us to tutor. They're going to let us tutor for cards that are just goblins, which is good in its own right. Skirk Prospector and Dockside Extortionist are great cards, but also once we have the Maskwood Nexus out, we can use those goblin tutors to search for any of the creatures, and in particular Kharn's Silver Golem. The goblins also give us additional utility with Engineer and Welder, letting us do shenanigans with our artifacts, and some of the tutors that we are using might actually put our artifacts into the graveyard, so it makes a lot of sense to have a little bit of a goblin package overall. The creatures are rounded out with a few powerhouse cards like Nightpack Ambusher, Timber Protector, and Seedborn Muse. Seedborn Muse obviously being great in that it untaps all of our permanents so we can get more attack steps in. Timber Protector, once we have Maskwood Nexus on the field, it will actually just make all of our creatures indestructible, so that's really great. We have both Timeless and Eternal Witness in case we want to be digging things out of our graveyard after we've tutored for them. You may notice the Temur Sabertooth, which is really just there to create additional value with our goblins, or potentially go infinite with a Dockside Extortionist loop. So while the main engine of this deck is a bit spicy and a bit unique, there is some staples that I have included that will give us a lot more consistency, a very typical ramp package. We've stayed pretty safe with the lands as well, and I think that the only real spicy choice for our lands in particular, we've got Field of the Dead because that's fitting into the token theme, as well as a whole bunch of different types of mana fixing. So let's check out the ramp and land package. Our ramp and lands are very straightforward with all of the usual suspects, your Signet, Soul Rings, Utopia Sprawl, and Wild Growth, as well as some not so standard includes such as the Great Henge, the Celestus, and of course our favourite Azor's Gateway. Our land base is all about colour access and a few pieces of choice utility ramp such as Gaia's Cradle. We've also got Growing Rights of Itlamok in there for good measure. The last part of the list is really just about rounding out our deck. We've got a bunch of tutors as well as some cantrips that we have access to in green. It's really just about adding an extra layer of consistency in what is our pretty janky deck otherwise. For utility, we have Oath of Nissa and Abundant Harvest for our primary cantrips. We've also got a range of tutors and ritual effects with Jeska's Will, Gamble, Faithless Looting, Trash for Treasure, Fervent Mastery, and as well as some removal with Lightning Bolt, Abrade, and Cinder Vines. All of these play a supporting role to help us achieve the game plan. Thanks so much for checking out the video, and if you've liked what you've seen so far, please feel free to hit the like and the subscribe button, and any shares are more than appreciated. We're a growing channel, so we very much appreciate every like and share and every one of our subs. We've got a whole bunch of different content coming up on the channel in the next few weeks. We've got everything from some 7 Point Highlander games coming out. We'll have more gameplay videos from the session that we had the other week. You can check out that video in the button right here. Other than that, thanks so much for checking out the list, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.